We've all had bad days. But sometimes it's not just a day. It's a whole season of life that just feels heavy. If you're out there just trying to hold it all together, and you're not sure how much longer you can, then this is for you. This isn't about how to fix it. Think of this as a roadmap for how to stand strong, right in the middle of it all.
Okay, so let's get right into it. The very first thing we have to get our heads around is the huge difference between a bad day and a bad period. A bad day? You can wait it out. It needs patience. But a bad period? Nope. That is a completely different beast. And that requires a real strategy.
So, what is this strategy? Well, it starts by letting go of a goal that's probably impossible right now. I'm not going to sit here and tell you to stay positive. That kind of talk doesn't help when you're in the thick of it. The most important thing to grasp is this. Feeling better is not your job right now. Surviving is. Think of this less as motivation and more as mental armor.
So, to build that armor, we first have to understand the landscape. We have to map the terrain of what we're dealing with. Before we can apply any strategy, we have to know what's actually happening, both around us and inside our own heads. A really heavy period, it doesn't feel like a storm. Storms pass. You can see them coming, you can watch them go. This feels different. It feels like you went to sleep in one version of your life and woke up in another, and now the sky itself has just changed color. That feeling of disorientation, it's real, and it's actually the correct response to your circumstances. And in this strange new landscape, this is the first hard truth you really have to accept. That feeling of not knowing, of constantly replaying things in your head, that's the real weight of it, isn't it? But you are not failing by feeling that way. Clarity is a luxury that comes from stability, and you just don't have that right now.
I want you to let this one really sink in. You're not confused because you're weak. You're not lost because you're broken. You're confused because confusion is the correct biological response to chaos. Your nervous system is working perfectly. It's just telling you the truth.
Okay, so now that we understand the landscape, it's time to forge our mental armor. This really comes down to two powerful mindset shifts that are designed to protect you right here, in the present moment. The first strategy is to shrink time. When we're in pain, our brain has this automatic and kind of cruel habit of taking that pain and projecting it across our entire future. It whispers, "What if this never ever ends?" That's not your brain being realistic. It's a form of self-torture. To fight back, we have to deliberately shrink our focus. So how do you actually do it? Well, you start with the future, which is it's way too big to carry. So you pull back to months. Still too vague. Even thinking about the next few weeks can feel totally impossible. But today? Yeah, today is manageable. And when things get really bad, you shrink it even more. This hour, the next 10 minutes. Your power isn't in some distant future. It's right here, in the small, actionable present. Now, here's a really interesting way to think about that voice of dread. It's not your rational mind talking. That voice is fear, and it's borrowing your own imagination to use against you. It builds this terrifying future that doesn't even exist yet, and then it forces you to live in it emotionally. You have to refuse to let it. The second piece of armor is about replacing optimism with endurance. Look, forced optimism can feel like a ton of pressure, just another thing to fail at. But endurance is different. It doesn't ask you to believe anything. It's not a wish, it's a posture. It just asks you to keep going. It's honest. And right now, honesty is way more useful than comfort. All right, so we've covered the internal mindsets. Now let's build on that with some external actions. In this next section, we're going to cover two practical daily strategies to help you just stay standing. Because this is the real question, isn't it? Mindset is one thing, but when you wake up in the morning and that weight is right there on your chest, what can you actually do to get through the day? Well, it really comes down to these two actions. First, you have to actively protect your identity. And second, you have to intelligently manage your capacity. Let's break those down. First up, protecting your identity. One of the most dangerous things that happens during a heavy period is that your sense of self starts to merge with the struggle. You start to believe that you are the problem. You have to fight this. The situation is happening to you, but it is not you. You existed before all this, and you will exist after it. So how do you actually protect that self? With small, concrete rituals. These things don't have to be big. They just have to be yours. A walk, a specific song, the way you make your coffee. These are like little threads that connect you to the person you are underneath all that weight. You have to guard them. The second daily action is strategic reduction, and this is so crucial. This isn't laziness. It's not about lowering your standards. It's about intelligently matching what you try to do with the energy you actually have. It's a smart, sustainable survival tactic.
And here's why this is so important. Under intense pressure, your brain is using a massive amount of energy just to process all that stress. Your capacity for everything else literally shrinks. And this isn't just a feeling, this is biology. Trying to perform at 100% when you only have 50% in the tank is a recipe for collapse. So you have to give yourself permission to do less.
So, why do all this? What's the point of just surviving day to day? Well, it's about the person you will become on the other side of this. It's about making sure that person is preserved.
The psychologist Viktor Frankl, a man who survived the concentration camps, said this: "It's not about pretending the pain isn't real. It's about recognizing that sometimes the only thing you truly control is your inner posture, the way you hold yourself inside all that weight. That is always yours."
Think about this logically for a second. If you just keep going, there will be a future version of you who is not in this period anymore. That person is looking back at this exact moment, right now. They can see how all the pieces fit together. That person is proof that this isn't permanent.
And that really brings us to the ultimate goal. In a heavy period, winning isn't the point. Victory is defined differently here. Success is about refusing to let the weight crush the core of who you are. It's all about preservation. So let me leave you with this final thought. After everything that's happened, after all the weight you've been carrying, you're still here. That isn't nothing. That is everything. The goal isn't to win, it's to not disappear. So I'll just ask you, are you still here?